Hey there, YouTube. It's Bobi, aka Paginator, and I think I'm going to talk to you about what I'm doing for Nanowrimo. So I was trying to think of what I could do for a weekend video because I try to upload every Wednesday and then most weekends, and I don't have anything to unbox, and I haven't been buying things, so I don't have a haul to do, and I haven't really read anything since I finished Instant Karma, which was the last video I posted, the review of that. So I thought, let's talk about Nanowrimo. If you're unfamiliar, Nanowrimo is a worldwide phenomenon that occurs in the month of November where people write books, and you just write the first draft. Like 50,000 words is the official goal, but you can do anything as long as you're setting aside time to dedicate to writing. You don't have to get to 50,000 words. Maybe for you something like 10,000 words is amazing, or maybe you write a lot and you need to double that goal and go for 100,000. I didn't do Nanowrimo last year, but otherwise I have done it every year for at least 10 years. Last year I felt like grad school and doing the yearbook and football season and everything was so overwhelming I could not do that. This year I still have the same things going on other than the yearbook. I don't do that anymore. I am still the photographer for my high school football team, and they are now out of the season. I only do home games, and tonight they had an away game that's about 7 hours away, and I thought, no, not going there for that. The roads are supposed to be pretty nasty because we've got snow coming in, and it's a long ways, and just no. And it was the semifinals, and they lost. So my poor boys are done, but that also means that the rest of November has more time in it for me to do some writing. And I've been trying to get my students at the middle school more excited about writing, so I thought I really want to do Nanowrimo this year and kind of nerd out over writing, because when I get excited about things, they get more excited than they would usually. So here's what I'm working on. I don't have a title, but I have some things in place. My main character is Miles Rivera, and he is 15 years old. He has a twin brother named Henry, and they get along about like brothers do. Sometimes they fight, and Miles especially has a trigger temper, so he's quick to throw a punch. He's even got in trouble at school, like quite a bit actually, for fighting, and yeah. Henry is more of the artistic one, and he also has more of a level head when it comes to conflict and disagreement, and he tries to resolve it more reasonably. But most of the time these brothers get along, and they like to create comics together, and they've been working on one called the Knights of Shadow, and they really want to set it in the Shadow Realm. And so they've been poking around the old cemetery going, okay, let's use this for inspiration. Maybe the gateway to the Shadow Realm is here. Maybe it's over here. How are we going to get our main character there? What are we going to do once he gets there? And they're really trying to be creative and come up with this really cool shadowy place. Miles is the story guy. He comes up with the ideas. He does research online about creatures, different things, and he's learned about a lot of different underworld kind of creatures and thinks he knows quite a bit, at least according to what the internet has to offer. And one day he and Henry are poking around in the cemetery, and Henry's the artist, so Henry's looking for things to incorporate visually in the story while Miles is looking for story details. And they come across this obelisk in the back of the cemetery, and they notice that on the stones near the base of the obelisk are Celtic crosses. And they don't really recognize them as Celtic crosses, but they know that it's a cross that's unusual looking. If you're unfamiliar, a Celtic cross has a circle behind the cross pieces. I don't have enough hands to like do a demonstration of it. So if this is the upward point of the cross and this is going this way, the circle would be behind this. All right. It's more detailed than that, but that will get you there. And they're looking at these tiles that have the Celtic crosses, and they're like nudging them around with their toes because it's an old place, and they're like, well, maybe we'll use this. Let's go back home. Later that night, Miles is wide awake working on his story, and he hears noise coming from Henry's room. And Henry is a dead-to-the-world sleeper. When he hits that pillow, he's out. And Miles thinks it's really weird. He's hearing noises, and he gets up and he peeks out of the doorway, and he sees coming from Miles's bedroom very, very tall, shadowy creatures. There is a Scooby-Doo nightlight on in the hallway, left over from when they were kids, and these creatures, based on the light that's coming off of Scooby-Doo and the way that they're moving, like the creatures' heads are touching the ceiling, and Miles is like frozen in shock, and he realizes they have something in there. Oh, they've got my brother. What the heck? So these shadow creatures, which are wraiths, have glowing red eyes, and the rest of them are made up of shadows, and so they don't really even have much of a body. You can kind of see like head and shoulders-ish outline, but they certainly don't have feet and legs, and they're just kind of drifty with glowing red eyes. It's like very creepy and ugh. So of course, Miles immediately freaks out, and his parents don't believe him that it was shadows that took his brother, and of course they're going to the police and, doing what parents do, and Miles decides, they're not believing me, and for dang sure the police aren't going to believe me. I've got to go after my brother myself. But I don't even know where the real entrance to the Shadow Realm is, let alone if that's where they went. I don't know what to do. So there are some other things that happen, and I'm going to be weaving in some different creatures. I'm not only going to have creatures made of shadows when we get to this place, which I'm actually going to be calling the Underlands for now until I find a better name, or it might stay Underlands, I don't know. But it's going to be an underworld, and there are definitely going to be wraiths there. But there's also going to be gnomes. I have an idea for some gold sparkly fae that have been kicked out of their regular court, so they've taken refuge in the Underlands. I have a creature that I really, really like. It's this like neon pink cat. And she's lovely. And so I've got different things that I'm working with, and I'm just kind of playing around right now. Part of the joy of Nanowrimo is that you just let yourself write. And because I'm in writing terms, we have this thing called a plotter or a pantser. A plotter is an author who plots out everything before they write the draft. A pantser kind of flies by the seat of their pants. I'm a mixture of those. I have a rough idea of what I want to happen, but I don't have as much figured out. So I'm kind of plotting / pantsing my way through this. But I'm excited about where it's going, and big things might get changed later in the revision process, because that's what revision's for. I just kicked the table where this camera is sitting. I'm so sorry. But so far that's kind of what my book is about. If you have any suggestions for me, please feel free to comment in the space below. If you have any great ideas for my underground world, underworld, whatever, because right now it's just called the Underlands, and I don't know if that name should stay. Or if you have suggestions for other underworldy type of creatures that Miles could encounter on his journey, hit me up with some comments and suggestions in the space below here. Otherwise, I hope this hasn't been a waste of your time, and that hopefully you've gotten at least a little bit of joy out of watching me ramble on about my story. And if you're doing NaNoWriMo, definitely let me know in the space below and tell me what kind of project you're working on and how's it going for you. So I am going to wrap this up and wish you all a wonderful and bookish day. Happy reading and writing. Adios.